What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at two things that I've been wanting to talk about for quite some time, with one being the SN30 Pro 8-bit controller. This might be the best controller on the Nintendo Switch, and another game that might be the best indie game on the Switch, or at least making a run for that, and that is Hades. Now, this is a roguelike game. I am not a fan of this style, but I was talking to Jeff Grubb, shout outs to my dude. I was talking to Evan from the Spawncast. I was talking also to my man Juice Man Vaughn, and all of them have given this game glowing reviews. So I said, hey, let's go ahead and knock out two birds with one stone. Let's talk about this SN30 Pro Plus controller in addition to Hades as well. And I was using that controller to play Hades, which it's not really a huge benefit with the D-pad or anything like that. I did check out some games like Mortal Kombat. I did check out some fighting games, and it all works a lot better than the Pro controller. So if you're a Mortal Kombat player, or if you're a fighting game player, for a D-pad in particular, quarter circles, stuff like that, Street Fighter, I highly suggest getting the SN30 Pro controller. I do think that it is worth that investment of $50 that I paid for the controller. Of course, I'll have some shots for you guys as we go throughout this video, some close-ups. I mean, the controller is not necessarily new, and there's lots of reviews out there, but it's my opinion. So I wanted to talk about this, but let's get into what Hades is all about, because once again, I'm not a big fan of like the rogue style games or anything like that, but I'll have to say, after playing this game for a number of hours and dying a number of times and coming back and seeing how they deal with going back to the beginning, because to me that's key. That's completely key, how they deal with it. I'm not a fan of completely stripping you of every single possible thing that you have, and there's nothing that you can do to get some type of power back or anything like that. Now, Hades does a good job, because if you don't want to deal with that, there's an easy mode-ish type of thing in there, like a god mode that allows you to survive longer so you can get through the game if you just can't beat it. But then there's also like a killer like hell mode, like that'll make things even harder. So right off the back, I got a good vibe from that, because they're saying, okay, hey, at least if you want to be able to get through it, we have this here for you. But also, I love what they did after you do die. You collect these like purple darkness matter type of things, and then you look in this mirror, the reflection, and then you can power yourself up to give you the ability, like let's say if you do die during the mission or during your playthrough, it will revive you right then and there. You can get powers, or you can get upgrades to where you recover health anytime that you exit or enter a dungeon. So there are things that you can do in order to make things a bit better. Now, weapons, for example, you can use the different keys that you have to unlock different weapons, so you don't have to refine weapons over and over. You can have the spear, you can have your bow and arrow, you can have the different weapons that you could unlock, so you're not just starting completely back from everything with no possible way to kind of buff yourself or anything like that. Right there, that's already really good. Now let's talk about the perspective, because I think the game to really kind of compare this to what everybody says pretty much is the best rogue game is Dead Cells. That's the game, that actually made me quit playing rogue games. I had played a number of them, and they were good. I mean, I played like Enter the Gungeon, other rogue games and everything like that. Dead Cells was the game that just made me, I was so frustrated with it. But honestly, I think the perspective, in addition to what I just talked about with how when you die, how they handle that and getting health back and all of that, I think that this game actually does things a bit better than Dead Cells, which I know for some people that's going to be like crazy, right? That is like the game of all games when it comes to rogue games. It sold a ton. I know people love that game, but to me, the perspective of like the overhead isometric perspective and being able to move around in that type of 3D area instead of it being 2D, to me is an actual benefit for this style of game, for dodging and for moving around. I like the dynamic nature of the maps and how they play out. Instead of it being 2D, it's the 3D area, so you can move around, you have to dodge traps, there's all sorts of stuff. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility with your dodging and with your powers and how you upgrade. And anytime that you do find an upgrade, you can tap into it and you can say, hey, I'm going to upgrade my strength with critical hits, or I'm going to upgrade my dashing ability to reflect attacks. I'm going to upgrade this passive ability. You can buy a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of, elements to it that I really love. But let's talk about the gameplay, and then we'll finish off with the presentation and the story, because that's also another big thing about this game that to me also gives it a little bit of an edge over the other games out there. So the gameplay is smooth. I'm playing this on the Switch. It is smooth. It is silky. It is responsive. There's no input lag. I mean, it is fantastic. And I'm not even playing it on my monitor here in my office. I'm playing it on the big screen TV in game mode, which HD TVs always have more input delay than monitors, for example. And it's still a little bit there, but it's nowhere near as bad as other games that I have played. So I'm very happy with the smooth and responsive controls in there. Dodging, charging up your attacks, attacking, moving around is super fluid and a lot of fun. I really like what they've done, Supergiant Games, what they've done with the combat here. Almost reminds me of Bastion, but just like way better. I think this game is better than Bastion. I think this game is better than the Transistor game. Like, I'm already absorbed into it when it comes to just how it responds, the smoothness, the feel, the upgrades, everything that you get. I think it really, they took what worked in Transistor and how you upgraded and what you got. They took what worked in Bastion and said, okay, we're going to make something even better. So everything is really smooth and really good on that front, especially playing with that SN30 Pro, man. I was really feeling it when it comes down to that controller, just like feeling the grip of it, how it works, the shape in your hands, especially for somebody with big hands. But even if you have small hands, it still just works. I kind of like the feel for this type of game a little bit more than even the Pro controller when it comes down to it. However, I will say one thing as I was playing this game, especially when things got pretty intense with the SN30 Pro, you accidentally hit the home button, because the home button is like right underneath the face buttons on there, and everything's good. The buttons feel great. I love the feel of the buttons and the shoulders and the analog sticks. Everything is pretty cool, but there was a number of times that I accidentally hit the home button. So I wish they would have reversed it and made the screenshot capture on the right side and the home button on the left side. I mean, I wish they would have done that, because you're moving your fingers and you might be a little bit more susceptible based on how big your hands are and everything to accidentally hit that home button, because on the Pro controller, the home button is to the left of the Y button. So I guess you could accidentally hit it too. So I don't really think that, maybe for some people it won't be as much of a problem. But it seems like I accidentally hit the home button a number of times, maybe because I'm not used to it. But as I started playing with the controller more, I stopped hitting the home button as much. So I don't think it's going to be something that's a really big problem. It was just something that happened a few times while I was playing. But let's get into this last part with Hades, and I'm telling you, man, the voice acting, the story, it's very good. I mean, I love Greek mythology. I've always been a fan of that, and they've nailed it here. Like, everything sounds really good and professional.
It's me. There's no getting out of Asphodel. You saw what it was like. You really want to go back there?
It's not a matter of want. The way out is there, in that direction, past the River of Flame.
I love how each of the characters have personality, and how there's little quips here and there, and sarcasm and jokes and wit, and it's really compelling. And that's what I like about it more than Dead Cells, which is just you kind of going around with some stuff here and there with story, but not really. It's just really just like a super hardcore rogue game, where this one actually, it's a super hardcore rogue game, but they actually put in some elements of charm into the game. They put in some elements of story when you fight the bosses, and how basically, you're like the prince, you're the child of the lord of the underworld, and they all know you, and they know that they're going to die then go back, but you know what, they're still going to try to stop you, because Hades the dad says, hey, you got to stop anybody from getting out of this inferno. So I love this setup of it, and I think that it really works well with him talking to his uncles, right? And Zeus, for example, giving him powers and upgrades. All of that was great. So that's something that I think, to me, kind of puts the edge over Dead Cells, just from what I've played. And I put a ton of hours into Dead Cells. I've put a number of hours into this game, and this is a game that I'm going to continue playing and I'm going to try to beat. And if I can't beat it, then I'll use the other mode. And Dead Cells might have that mode. I don't remember if they added it or not in terms of like the easier mode or whatever the case is. But to me, with the isometric view, with the 3D, with how they do the upgrades, with the story and how it progresses and the charm and the wit and the humor, it just gives it the upper edge over Dead Cells for me. I know that might not be the most, you know, popular opinion out there, but I think Hades is a knockout when it comes to it. If you're not a fan of rogue games, this might be the rogue game to pull you in, because I know it's got me for right now at this point. I might play it like another 15-20 hours and completely break my new controller over frustration of not being able to beat a certain boss or something like that. But I'm getting better and better at it, and I do love the gameplay. I do think that even for me is a bit better than what they do in Dead Cells. But once again, it's not really a comparison between the two, because both games are on multiple platforms. Both games are really good. I'm just talking about the last game that I played that made me quit rogue games. And Dead Cells is awesome. It's phenomenal. It doesn't matter which one is better or not, or whatever the case is. They're both amazing, and people should check out both of them. But for me, this one kind of did a little bit more when it comes down to it. So I'm gonna say it is a buy. 2 thumbs up, and I'm also gonna give a 2 thumbs up and a buy on that SN30 Pro controller. That one's also really good. That's probably the best third-party controller on the Nintendo Switch. It might be your best option for a Switch controller if you're looking for a pro-style controller. You're not looking for Joy-Cons. And I'm pretty sure there hasn't been any issues with Joy-Con drift with the SN30 Pro either. So if you're worried about that, it's another thing to kind of think about. And the controller is $50, so it is standard price $50. There might be some sales every now and then, you know, here and there, but the standard price is $50, and it feels very well built. It feels durable and solid and good. I mean, it's a well-made controller. It's well made. So what do you guys think about this when it comes to the SN30 Pro, when it comes to Hades on the Nintendo Switch and other platforms as well? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.